years ago, if somebody fell asleep and they wanted to wake him up, they would stick him with a shamritza. What's shamritza? We didn't know. Shamritza is smelling salt, ammonia. You ever heard of ammonia? Your Kippur people use it. Yeah. So they ever said, this is okay. A guy falls asleep, you stick him in ammonia, and you'll get him up. So from then on, the Valam Sadr, just like they would give out before Farbrengens, wine, kichlach, and so on, they also had a case of smelling salt, and they would give it out like, Valam Sadr. And the funny thing was that, you sit the Farbrengens, the head of the a guy next to you gives a jump. And he got like scared. Boop! Happened, common problem. Anyway, so what was I saying? So Tavshich of Hay. Nothing. So what actually happened? I made Hanachos Chav Hey, Chav Vav, Chav Zayin, Chav Ches, Chav Tes, and Lamed. Then when I got married, I was really busy, whatever. So other Bochurim took over. So what happened? Jene Zeiten, God Amal, Chav Hey is what is that? 55 years ago. To me, it's like yesterday. Akopanim, there was no faxes. There was no WhatsApps. There was nothing. Even if you want to make a phone call to Eretz Yisrael, I remember Purim Chav Zayin, the Rebbe spoke about Shluchim and Kiragat. I had a few friends there, so I wanted to tell them there was no hookup the other side yet. So I had to make a phone call to Israel. So till you can make a phone call, you have to make a reservation. All right? In an hour, come back and we'll you have to tell them to be ready. It was a face like flying to the moon. So B'meila, in Jene Zeiten, people all over, Chassidim, they had no idea what the Rebbe spoke. And, Sigiven, I had relatives and friends. They asked me, they knew I'm here. I came to learn in 770 Chafei. So they asked me, at least do write Rashi Prokim, Visam Vastutzach, what the Rebbe spoke, and so on. So I said, okay, we'll try. So I started off, like unofficial, very unofficial. And even on a small paper, just taken of this sikha. And we would send it by mail, and they would get it, let's say, a week later, whatever. As time passed by, you get some experience. Push it. Like I said, Ein Chacham K'mal Nisai. So I started making already more official. You know what onion paper is with carbon copies? Carbon paper? Erase? We have to send it by mail, right? And if you have thick paper, it's going to cost a lot of money. So there was a paper, there was a stationery store on Kingston Avenue, Rimler. He would sell mamish, it's called onion skin, the thinnest you could only imagine. And it weighs nothing. Mamish. And it's also good to make copies. There was no copy machines then. There's no copy machines. I remember once Rabbi Yale came, Epis was helping with understand with the shredder sikha. So I noticed in his pocket pages of Tzaviyad that Rebbe answered him. Rabbi Yale was in the sikha. He was Arangiton. So I figured we have to make copies. It's like a Lengite opportunity. So we took it out of his pocket. Where was the closest copy machine? Grand Army Plaza. They had a copy machine. It's like base. It's like the biggest chiddush of Elam. They had a machine that was like from here to here, big machine to me. And it wasn't black on white, it was white on black. So I remember with a friend together, we took the train. It took us about an hour. When we came back, Rabbi Yale didn't realize nothing. We put it back to his pocket and everything was fine. That's what my man Muska said. There was no copy machine. Nothing. So little by little, I started making, the thin paper. I had a typewriter. Got a typewriter. Was with the typewriter. And you put a carbon paper. A carbon paper is that on one side it has ink, dry ink. When you type on it, it goes through. So here too, I used to make, let's say I started off, It came ready more, to the boy. So I used to make, it was called Hanacha protest, private Hanacha. And I would make copies, like 12, 15 copies with the thin paper. When you type, it goes through. Versteht sich, the earlier copies are better. The later copies are not so good. Akapanim, so this is what I started. And Taka used to send it out, and it was mamish, they thanked me. The mamish, mamish tchias hamesa for them. To have the Rebbe done them like the next few days. This went on Chafei and part of Chavav. How did I make it? So as I say, in general, it's winter time, Chafei winter. The Shabbosim are short. Rabbi Yael with Chazer upstairs there. Mitzvah Shabbos. Let's say Shabbos. Figure 7:30 with Chazara. And all the Bochurim came. After Pesach, Tavshin Chafei, the Rebbe's Farbrengens would be pretty short then. By 4 o'clock, the Farbrengens was over. So Rabbi Yael with Chazer right after the Farbrengens. The Rebbe would have Mincha right after Mincha, Chazara. So then, I couldn't write Shabbos, versteht sich? So I would do the Chazara. But Mitzvah Shabbos, I had a few friends. And the place where I was then was a very choshev place. The dormitory was on top of Raskin's fish. Fish market was our dormitory. I mean, oh yeah. I still, Adayim, I still have clothes that smell from the fish from Yamal. It was, but we had a kitchen there, so a few friends came up. One of them came up to us. One of them is Lamoshel, I don't know if you know, Avram Levitansky, Oliver Shalom, California. He had a big chush and repeating words what the Rebbe said. In that vision, that in those times, every Shabbos, the Rebbe spoke. It was like a smaller Elam. The Rebbe would give halakim to people. You can mean meisters. Mamish come out every Shabbos. Besides that, there was a lot of pchiyas in Yenetzeit. One Shabbos, Mishpatim Chafei, I remember the Rebbe spoke Barichas about Bochurim, that they don't care of the kiyus. They don't brush their teeth. They don't wash themselves. I'm just telling you, I mean, Kemat every Shabbos was something else. And this is a lot of ISIS, not so much the Havana, but Pasha ISIS when the Rebbe spoke. And Rabbi Avrohom Gerlitzky, he had a tremendous chush. Do you remember Pasha? You rattle off the Mamish L'Shenis with the Rebbe straight. And it's an Indian of ISIS or not. On the other hand, you have to know, to know, that the Rebbe, I'll go a little bit further. This happened, remember, this was Chafei, Chavav. In the middle of Chayrev Chavav, the guy must have been in Teves, maybe in Kislev. The Messiah Shem Tov, Oliver Shalom, came and he started, he saw the secretary I was typing, and he started tumbling with haste. How come Anash don't get the sikhs? At that time, Rabbi Yael was busy with the Sefer Ekrem, whatever. He didn't make any Hanachos at all, nothing. The Payel, he says, nobody, I feel in the Shchuna dug goof for Kena Vesish. So he started, bothering me. We have to make a psavad, we should make sure that it's printed on a regular printing machine, no copies with carbon paper. Regular printing on a Gestetner stencil. You know what a Gestetner is? The Naidatus. Gestetner used to be a good machine that makes copies by hand. They didn't go electricity. Akopanim, so he got us an apartment in 788. Who's us? Me, Rabbi Shapiro worked there, Then that year was also Zalman Gopin and Mashpia, and he also helped out. Yeah, and that was it. That's where we had our partner. But the mile is that I had a special room, like with a desk where I could type the sikhs and Svarim to look up Manamakamis and so on and so on. And then he started saying, listen, we got to print it and give it out. We'll get somebody to give it out in all the shuls and so on. We were afraid, till now, the Yale the Chaser makes it, right? 18-year-old Bochur, 17-year-old Bochur, how old was it? 18. A chutzpah, a husband, we're afraid that people are going to start screaming, what kind of chutzpah is this? We're making like officially Hanachos, like a built-in Bugavit. So I remember Thursday night, it was Shabbos was Mishpatim, Shabbos Mevarachim Oder, and what is that noise? Akapanim. We didn't want anyone to know who's making it. We felt the states, people scream, you chutzpah, you, whatever, what do you? Probably you heard about it. So given a Karistir mikveh on Eastern Parkway in Brooklyn. I'm sure you heard of it, no? This is the mikveh that was the Lubavitch mikveh for all the years, mamish, till Karistir mikveh. So me and there was Shapiro, and there was a guy, Shemer. We went there at night after say the Chassidus. We went into the mikveh, not mamish in the mikveh, but the room before that, there was a table. And there we sat, we typed it on a stencil. Big day, it should be ready for Shabbos, to be able to give out. And Take Kachav, that was, and we wrote on it, Hanachos Atmim. That was it, Hanachos Atmim. Mine was plotted, but this is already, it was looked over by a few Bochurim together. So that's when it started Hanachos Atmim. From that. And we also were very much privileged that if we would have a Shaila and Farbrengens and so on, the Rebbe would always answer us. I remember Chavches, I wrote this by the Indian for Yankiv, how they married two sisters. Because there we have a whole bishing. So I wrote like a whole this by the Chayre Yesh Lahavim. So the Rebbe, I remember, took with a pencil, crossed on every line, the pencil, and on top of the line, he wrote his own. That's not what I said. He wrote over the whole thing again. And the Mashal, we were Zeicha. If anyone learned the Yudbei, Chelik Yud Aleph Kisisa, then Ein Adam Eisa Davar Shein Shalei. So also we asked him a shaila on that sikha, and the Rebbe wrote if I should maybe next time I'll bring the copies I could show you here, the original copies. The Rebbe wrote the Bakdama. I said this in the Bekitzer Bakdama. Shachakach Ya'ainu Hama'ainim. People should look at. And here on the shaila was not gefragt, but the Rebbe gave it a ganze arichas mamish. And the whole sikha, which is printed in the sikhs, is nemtzach from that settle that the Rebbe answered. He was mamish provided the whole Indian ba'arichas bela. Anyway, so where we hold it. So little by little, it started going. I started saying something before. Yeah, but I'm saying, like I said, in those years, the Rebbe would give very stark halakim. The Rebbe can, Kiyad Hashem HaTeva Olav. The Rebbe, if he'll get him, he could give him, this one, that one. There's so many things I can't even, about the parade. He didn't come out. The Rebbe could give a stark chelik. One, it was Chaysara. Farbrengens was told this, but it happened. Chaysara Tavshin Chavches. There was a good convention. Could be you heard it already. Aguda convention. They have every year. And for some reason, one of the speakers, he got up and he spoke against Lubavitch. Vayev Yitzchak es Esav Kitzayid Defiv. Al derech zel Lubavitch. That they get money from the government, so they go along with the government and this. They're shot for Lubavitch. The Rebbe got the report that week, and that Shabbos, 12 days, the Rebbe was going on mamish, unbelievable sharp, to speak. Erstens, a chutzpah to say on Yitzchak Avinu, like Asa Pasha, he gave him a good stick of flesh. There was enough gain and brought a samach pela, when the pishut yadav a bet mechida for Yitzchak Avinu b'fnei asara. Mamish, this guy was a talent for Chavetz Chaim. So the Rebbe says, "Wie kommst du zu Chavetz Chaim? Chavetz Chaim gewähnt gehitten tavot, shears halashon." And so what I'm trying to bring out is that those times that we had a lot of heiros, so mosquitoes gave us over that this should not be printed. It should not go out the Pearson. Because then already, it's gate and valve, so I'm just saying, at that time, we had many times such things. I remember once the Rebbe spoke about Bochurim, that B'shas he davens. What do? They don't look into the city. They don't daven. They just stand and look at it. The guy like the guy can mefayik main day, and they blow whatever in front of me, in my nose, in my opponent. Very sharp for Isis, for Seis, and Abdaman. They have brought down interesting. There's a memra, the modern Chagiga, a mistaklim b'nosi. It's covered. They ever said, a mistaklim b'nosi, said on himself. Are you talking and tutazah? So what I'm trying just to bring out in those years that there was a lot of these kind of things, very, very much. I'm speaking now Shabbos. In the weekdays when it was on Farbrengens, on tape recorder, the Rebbe wouldn't cloud speak Shabbos. But Shabbos was so many times talking. We made Hanachos, but these things. I used to type it in the boy before we can. Aber this was private. It didn't go in officially in the official Hanachos. Interessant. How did the weekday Farbrengens work when there was tape recorder? So a friend of mine who also was in my dormitory, he had a tape recorder. In those times, there was no cassettes. There was a tape recorder as a tremendous keli. And he got a special wire with a pedal. And it works just like this. You play the tape, and you press your foot on the pedal, the tape stops. Type. Again, Nachamol, that's how we go through all Farbrengens. The end of Farbrengens could have been 70 pages, mamish. You just Kislev Chavav, or Chavav, I think. In Yom Shter Zachsidis, Farbrengens finished, I think, 4:30. The cloud in Yenet side, the Rebbe was pushing the Gashmish big with us. The Rebbe verkreden mamish bleegvul. And genommen eine Kude, and Pashat went on to be mevayed. It could be 3-4 seconds. I remember the David's Midas Kodesley in Nenash, stick together in Tanya, in Gersakic. Rebbe had a beer for it, hours, mamish. So a mamish geschmack and knife. Later already, the bigger Elam, the Rebbe was Mekatze more, and also wasn't, I'm saying we knew in our times when we made Hanachos, the first key to everything is Pashut, to hear good, the Rebbe's Ganzes of Mekasha Zayin. Totally. Pashut, of Mekasha Zayin with Herren, Strachman, Kinan, Yamshas. That was the first key. Say Shabbos, and say Mesachel, and by Emily Pagra, whatever. But that was the first key. Is Pashut to Meshabed yourself just to listen to the Rebbe on Kenan ben Yodim.
Stop, Rabbi Avrohom.
Yeah.
You mentioned that it's not the Iker is to just listen to the Rebbe while you're trying to make Hanachos and trying.
First key. is good to yeah.
And how was it sometimes when things that the Rebbe spoke about, you taka knew, and was it hard to not allow yourself to process what the Rebbe is saying, b'shas ma'aser, you're listening, or you were processing at the same time?
Same time, the same. You mean things that I didn't know? I did know.
The things that you didn't know was probably easier, Pashtus, because no.
That's an issue. That you know, you're familiar. It's easier to. So why shouldn't you know? If I could suggest is, I said one thing, maybe Bochurim should try to write it in Yiddish. If it's Shaykh, or you could do English, but try little by little. It helps, like I said. Also, paragraphs is very important on the Daiti. I remember saying that's how the Hanachos came out. If you look all the Sikhs, whenever there's Oktoy, and if it's Shaykh, those who have Bari Lan, the program, to look up Mekaydes, the Rebbe would always speak about it. I'm a Zaktepes, that man reingucken Mekaydes, jemand versteht mit ihnen als sagt besser. If it's Shaykh, the Marshal, the Rebbe mentioned in this Sikha, again, Hein Adam Hayek Achad Mimenu, as Yidden am Bechira. Is even kind of cooked on Mekaydes, which state. I mean, if somebody has Bari Lan, you can find everything. You know, Bari Lan is a program that Mamish has everything you can find right away. I'm saying it should be a Ishtadlis, because the Rebbe was very much into Manichim, should always look up Mekaydes, because sometimes you could bring the Makir on something Mamish Fakir. As I found this time in these by Kama V'Kama. They brought the Indian Lahepek what the Rebbe meant. No, and if it's Shaykh that you should be mitzaying to some Marakamis little by little, is the Chinim HaTayv Manoi. Because that the Rebbe also wanted always. There's all failures, you know, but the number, and to be mitzaying Marakamis. But I don't know if it's Shaykh. Yeah.
I think some Bochurim were asking. They asked before, how long on average, if you had like a 4-hour Farbrengens the Rebbe, how long does that come out in Hanachos?
A regular Shabbos, Farbrengens used to be, let's say, till 4:30. So I remember, but I used to type like, would come out to about 25, 26 pages. But I didn't leave any space. But together, you know, mamish next to each other would be 25, 26 pages.
Wow.
And Lepel, I just want to say, you know, the bench Shem Tov, he got a machine, a gestet machine, and he arranged everything. A guy who goes around selling it, a guy who goes around giving out to the shuls, and Takas Givanim Yamot Takach was in the life like London the next Shabbos, the weekday Farbrengens, the Shabbos Farbrengens from before, and it was Taka very geschmack Indian. Summer Chav Zayin, I was in camp as living director. So I made up a tie that Shabbosim, the Farbrengens, I have to go into Farbrengens. I used to come in, stay for Chazara Mitzvah Shabbos till 1 o'clock. Then I had to ride back to camp. Sunday, I remember I would sit in the shul by the stage there with my typewriter for typing for Shabbos, the Farbrengens for Shabbos. And that was more or less, I mean. If anyone wants to ask questions, you could ask, but.
A Bochur sent a question so when you said about being medayik, and you spoke in the very beginning about being medayik, that is the nikuda to write every single thing down, or to write the general cloud? Because
it depends. If you're writing Hanacha, it should be everything. Adrabe, mishtadel b'yasser seis b'yasser eis zu nitzen eisis harav. Was mehr eisis harav, the better, no question. But then the marshal Tzach that time would give out different things, from the Rebbe's Hasicha, send it out all over. So there, it's not called Hanacha. It's a message like Inyan for the Rebbe. So Dorten versteht sich nicht negay. It depends on what are you guys here supposed to do. If it's Hanachos, it's called Hanachos, right? Rebbe that steht as Hanachos. Jede Sach Shmeya sheyikra alav das is ein Mitzvah. In Hanachos, there's no question that the Indian is not to write like an article, the klolos Indian. That's made, for something else. That's not it. Hanachos means pashut kipshutay, to write what the Rebbe spoke. With Eisis Harav, it's not possible. That's why I'm saying that when you do it in Yiddish, it's much easier because you have mamish Eisis Harav.
Rabbi Avrohom, I'm not sure all the Bochurim know exactly can you chazer the Maisa with Zalman Gerari? Why did he come into Yechidus B'chlal? What was the conversation about? Why did you come up?
If you look at his, they gave out a book, the whole Beis in Emenhu, his biography. Yeah. So Dr. Zetman, that the Rebbe, he was mamish like the Yachid, that the Rebbe, when he would come into the Rebbe and Yechidus, the Rebbe would Eisreden, alle Inyanim Fuchsidim, Admas Nefesh, it'll be to him. If you look there, you'll see there's a lot of things like that. But Meisters, the Eretz Yisrael, and the Zalman Taka would work very hard to try to correct it, He was Taka, there's no question, Ish Naman to the Rebbe, very close with the Rebbe. It's a very interesting book to look, a sefer, the whole Beis in Amanu. There's a lot of Giluyim there that no one ever heard. Amish and Yonim Tzeflik from the Rebbe, Brief from the Rebbe. You know that Shtei Dort Nazeh, that I think it was Tafshin Yud Aleph. They used to go on Yechidus. So he went in, and the next day was supposed to come Nanhola from Bab Yeshiva or something. Yeah. So when he went out of the Yechidus, he runs into mosquitoes. He says, "Give me a chair, Mamish, right now. I must have a chair. I'm going to faint." He says, "He gave him a chair. The blade gave him a chair." He says, "What's this?" He says, "The first time that the Rebbe told me, you then heint of an oil, and the Schwer hat mir gesagt, sagen Sie, als das." But the Rebbe said openly, the erste Mal that he heard that the Rebbe says, "You went am oil, and the Schwer hat mir gesagt, soll ich begeben dir, als das." So I'm saying such kind of stories. There's a lot of nice stories there. There's Kedevestish. Anyways, so the Metzach Hashanim would be like that. The Rebbe would speak a lot of things. Admas Nefesh, to see, what we can talk. And this time in Tafshir Chav Zayin, the Rebbe spoke to him about this Inyan.
Was it ever difficult for you when you started giving shiurim in Olatera to be sai with the sichis and sai in Olatera and?
No, at that time I came to Olatera Tafshir Lamed Beis. Lamed Beis already there was a new Vada Nachsatun. I was already a younger man then. There was no time. I was teaching a whole day.
You were even in Lamed Beis.
I did it through Tafshir Lamed. Lamed, I was Mikhail. I still did it. That was it. Lamed Aleph already I started whatever teaching, not in Olatera, but there was no time anymore, and the Bochurim took over.
Did Rebbe never made any comments as you should continue or something like that, or that?
No. Later, when her order started, Tafshin Mem, it's angefangen weiter in the Kocherei, and the Rebbe Sinyanim, there's a lot of big kochs, yada yada, big. Tovshim Mem Gimel Lamashal, the Rebbe Mechadish given Achashah Pesach the whole Indian of Mitzvah Ben Neach. Sheva Mitzvah Ben Neach. And like it was a new thing, Wuten gehört, dass sagt, jeden sollen gehen Ton mit Goyim. It was like So after Achashah Pesach, I get a phone call of Manachos that the Rebbe bet soll sein gefinnen mit Keres for the Sheinim and Achreinim on this Indian that they also agree. And we soll Sarai schreiben da alles. So Einachanami, there was Taka label Alpine and the Yakot and the andere, the Taka geknackt die ganze Zeit für die Sheinim und Achreinim wegen dem Indian von der Feidah, am Sefer. Then before Shavuos, I get a phone call from a blade that the Rebbe wants to see all the Sfarim which we brought. All the Sfarim that's been gebracht. Till the Rebbe is then, innovating. So I remember I got a big pile. Some of them were my own. It's good to have the Sfarim back. Mm-hmm. Some of them were not my own. And we gave it into the Rebbe, a big stack. And sure enough, Shavuos, als the Stadtfuss and Kinos Teire, I'm sure you guys know that the Rebbe would always speak a Stadtfuss Teire. So Shavuos, the Rebbe spoke with the singing, and there was one sefer that the Rebbe didn't mention. Mamish Peladik. And then you got the Sfarim back. So it's a big shoes. The Rebbe Sfarim, the Rebbe used Sfarim. So I'm saying, you asked me about later. No, there was nothing about a Hemshech. No, interesting. In the Lamets even, sometimes I would still write questions. And the Rebbe would answer me, and I would get the copies, no matter what. I would get the originals. Al Shem von Amol. I remember the Rebbe spoke Tzasich and Chelik Tazayin. Bishvil Arba Dvarim Hama'elis Leikim. I'm sure you know that Tzich and Chelik Tazvov. How's it called? The clips. Hama'elis Leikim. Bishvil the Shalei Nisbet Kalacha Tamad Chacham Kamenya. So alle Fragen Akasha is the Inge von Teva. Everyone knows, Hein Weisman klar, when it's going to happen. Just like you know when it's going to be, whatever, sunset, you know this too. So the Rebbe gave a whole beer, it's gedrucked already, and it's printed. But I remember, and I saw that the Kama asked the Shaila, the B'yedis and Apeshitz, in your other Dvash, it's Meyer from them, and he says it's a whole late it's a Pasha of the Tzaddis. The B'yedis and Apeshitz and other they answered. So I wrote in why the Cheder and Emfetach the B'yedis and Apeshitz Emfetach glad to get Tzaddis. Why? What's the problem? He says there are two kinds of Likal Vana, and the Gemara meint Ta'inyan was nicht abgeteilt. In the Vayda. So the Rebbe starts off Kiyadua, that B'yedis and Apeshitz, his Indian was, he had a lot of vikuchim with Umay Sa'ilam, with Galachim, Kiyadua. And the Gemara the Rebbe takes the Tapar Gemaras, that when you have vikuchim with Goyim, you say whatever you want, and the guy should accept it. In other words, you're not interested to tell him Dafka the truth. Maybe it'll be he won't accept it. Whatever you want. The Ma'aseh Yedua that the Catholics they said the Psagalach Hasei Yisrael, whatever. It's a Teif Shebegayim Ketel. The best guy you should kill him. He is to the Jones, whatever it's called. So the Rav there. We can't let this mamish. This is racist. I mean, and this is like in the Mekuach HaPavlika. So he says, you're pashut, you're ignorant, you don't know what it means. It means Teish Shebegayim Kartel are the Catholics. Kartel is Catholic. Das means kill them. That's the thing. He was a Catholic. No, so that was that dumb. So he made him don't bring an eye if it's Rabbi Einstein. And then the Rebbe took his tenets apart. He wrote mamish like 10 kashas, I think, 7 kashas. Why his pshat is not good? In fact, he looked at kashas of that. Why his tennis is not good? Interesting. Okay, anyone other questions? Because I have a share now. That I usually starts 10. I said, okay, I called them up. They'll wait for me in 15 minutes. Is that it? Oh, so I just want to say that you should be Maniach. I hope there's a Shem, Mashiach, and Kum the Dite design Hanachos. And you guys, me should talk about Shabbos, Shabbos. That ihr sein, and when is the next Sikha, the next Hanacha going to be? Are they finished already? Or you still have more, right?
Twice a week.
Huh?
Twice a week, every Sunday and Wednesday.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay, so, but I think you should remember, those who could write, I know that my nephew wrote Yiddish, ganz fein Schneier Gerlitzky, wrote Yiddish, because he didn't learn English. But everyone should try, and also, like I said, Eisis Harav is Negei Zeir Stark. But my point is, it should be like a regular Hanacha. Open Teiras Menachem, that's in Hebrew. Open up Sikas Kodesh. That's how you guys should try to do. But on the other hand, all those who wrote very nice and good verstanden, you guys deserve a lot of credit. Well, they bestalten soll sein, Baslacha, Meilem, Bekedesh, Meilem, all right?
What was the connection with the Hadassah B'Yudim and the Rashi Sichos? At a certain point, Rebbe would pick from specifically from the Hadassah B'Yudim.
The Rebbe suggested, it's late. The Rebbe suggested that anyone who has a shaila on should write it in Hadassah B'Yudim. Should write it in the artist. With Morris Time, I think was also, yes. And there was a time even we made a special pamphlet, only Pshudah Shemikra. And the Rebbe would choose one of the shaylas. There's Lev Yaakov. Yeah?
Yeah.
The Rebbe would ask shaylas and leave it open. You know about this? It was the first time this happened. Okay, the kids, I must finish. First time this happened was Tafshin Mem Hey. And no one wrote a teretz. The Rebbe, Shabbos, Farbrengens, Hayitochen, the Shailas, the Badet came in the Shishim. And this went out mamish like the Rebbe has Tainus, Hayitochen. So mitamol, people started writing, don't ask. Anoshim, Mitaf. Started writing to the Shouldn't have wrong. Mamish. Frein a filler. Good to the pale, we didn't put in everything, we had like a safer. Bikoski was mainly in charge of refract. We made like categories of Terutzim, and the one who wrote the best, like here, the one who writes the best, him we put in, and at the bottom we wrote is Albertus and Teretz, a whole list. And the Rebbe was talking to Fried. And from then on, whenever the Rebbe would remain with a shayla to answer, we, the Bochurim, would type it up, give it, and the Rebbe was Magir, Mamish, in the boy, a lot of Agor, and shayla.
Wow.
Okay, I must go to my shir now.
I'm in Shaila, can I fraggin?
The kids.
Is there a point in watching the video and pausing and writing down, or is the only point is to watch the whole video, like the whole thing, and then write down?
No. The better is if you don't write word for word mamish, saying that's not the chachma. What you do is you write this teichen. Later you could listen over to see to add whatever. But to write word for word, that's not the kavanah. Kavanah to verschreiben l'mashal, Shabbos and Hanacha. That you can't do it. The kavanah is you should write it. Good to understand it yourself, and then you write it. Like this, you can write. You're just like a tape recorder. You know. Okay, Hatzlacha, I have to go.
Shekaya Godel. Be Malaris Deus Hashem. Kimayim
Chaim. Yeah.
Chaim.
Shkoyach.
Zeg het Gula. Take me out, man. Chaim.